This is Traffic singing Hey Mr. Fantasy, or rather just Mr. Fantasy, or Dear Mr. Fantasy. Um, the reason why I'm playing this song today is for those who, this is a non spoiler, for those who have seen Avengers Endgame, you know why I'm playing this song. For those who haven't seen it yet, it will make perfect sense early on in the movie. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Welcome to episode 293 of Dylan Knows, a sandwich with Peter Dinklage. Just waiting to find out what this is about. So it is Saturday, April 27th, 2019. It is 9:39 p.m. as I'm doing this live right now, and I am exhausted. My darn cat, who hasn't been bothering me for like the last couple weeks, decided to make last night the day to come back and start bothering me. So she bothered it up a storm by sleeping on me for a while, which isn't bad. But then she threw up on my side of the bed, and I had to get up and clean that up. And then she laid on my wife for a while, and that was okay for a while. And then she got down and started meowing incessantly, and then started going after stuff she shouldn't have. So I put her downstairs. She came right back up, and so I was doing this back and forth for a few hours. So I just said, I'm done. So 5:30, I go downstairs, taking her with me because I'm usually up at that time during the week because I have to get ready for work. And I think that was what she was thinking about. And she went right back upstairs to meow out the door, but then I told her to be quiet, and she did. But I didn't want to go back to sleep because then she'd upstairs. So I've been up since 5 a.m. and I got to get up early tomorrow because we're going to hunt to Hershey Park. I like Hershey Park, but I'm so tired right now after this week and after this movie and after this morning that I really honestly don't want to go. But my family wants to go, and it's going to be a nice day. So, and I have to drive. Plus now it looks like something's leaking out of the bottom of my van. I just can't win with my van, and that's what's panicking me most of all right now. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about more fun stuff. I saw Avengers Endgame, 3:30 p.m. show, and with previews and stuff that it was over just about by 7 p.m. Then we went out to dinner to Red Robin, and then the kids wanted to go to the Cal, so we took them to the Cal, which is our local Italian ice gelati place. And then just got home, they had their showers, and so I'm down here doing this. So today's episode, we will discuss a non-spoiler version of Avengers Endgame. I'm trying to hook up with MJ Khan, one of my co-hosts that I haven't had on for a while, to have us have a confab about Avengers Endgame next weekend to give everybody a week to go see it. And also because next weekend is, next Saturday, I should say, is two things actually falling on the same day. Is May the 4th be with you, so it's a big Star Wars day. It's also Free Comic Book Day. So I figured that would be a good day to do the show with me and MJ doing a review of Endgame and our take on the MCU as a total. So I'm waiting on MJ to see if he can do it, and we'll work some stuff out. But I'm talking about that. We're going to talk about my sandwich with Peter Dinklage, which is a pretty interesting, fascinating story. Some new soda flavors, which actually are intriguing. The first ever beer and wine fest up here in Reisterstown. Free Comic Book Day, of course. A Lamborghini that could get somebody in trouble if they're not careful. Lots of shoes. I've been talking about shoes for like the last month or so, and some more shoes keep coming up on my show. More summer stuff coming up on my show. More stupid people. More interesting news. More animal stuff. What's that? Florida. There's some Florida stories. Some studies. And just some other crazy stuff. So a lot of interesting things going on this week. Obviously, the big thing is Avengers Endgame. Right now, it is projected to be the first ever film to make $1 billion in an opening weekend. That's worldwide. We'll see how Sunday sales are tomorrow, but we'll have a general idea of what the domestic is, see if that breaks the record of 285. It should hit 300, I would think. I would assume so. I could be wrong, but just because the way things are rolling and hitting $1 billion could be a big thing. So, it seems like everybody in the world has seen it, but if you have not seen it or not going to see it until next week, fine. It's up to you. Whatever is easier for you, that's fine. And just keep trying to stay away from the spoilers. It's actually been a pretty good job. Haven't been I wasn't spoiled by anything. There were a few things that popped up that were kind of vague that now I know what they're talking about. So we have that going on. So Avengers Endgame, real quick. Again, it's a non-spoiler one. It is everything you heard it was about. It was epic. It wraps up this phase of the Avengers superhero Marvel MCU phases pretty nicely. I'm not saying it all ends happily for everybody, but I'm also not saying that it doesn't. So you'll have to wait and see what's going on. It's going to make you think a little bit because there's a lot of stuff that's going on, and I'm still trying. I'm still trying to, since it's still fresh in my mind. It's only been 6 hours since it started for me, and not that long, has it? 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Yeah, it's been 6 hours. So half of that was watching the movie, and the other half was trying to piece it together. I'm not sure how I feel about it right now. I mean, I liked it. It's, as I said, I liked it. It's a good good wrap up to the MCU. Good usage of most characters. There was a couple characters that I was kind of disappointed in their usage, but in the long run, I understood why they did what they did. There were at least two. What was the word I'm thinking of? Pause for applause type of things, like big scenario things that just everyone's been waiting for, and it's great. It cleans up a lot of the complaints people had about Infinity War. Some of the stuff that they said Infinity War didn't cover gets covered in this, and it's hard to it's hard to do a non-spoiler review of it. As I said, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. I liked it, but I don't know if I loved it, if that makes any sense. Thinking back on it, maybe I'll have to think about it again and maybe see it again. Just, it's hard when you see a movie for the first time and you don't know what to expect and you get all this information. It's a 3-hour movie. You get all this stuff that happens, and it takes a while for it to process. So I'll think about it. I mean, I still liked it. My wife loved it. The kids liked it a lot. I liked it. It's just there's something, I don't know, something about it just is nagging at me a little bit. As I said, it didn't make me hate the movie. It was just a couple things in the back of my mind that are making kind of I don't know. But it was as I said, very nice wrap up. This is not a spoiler, but there is no mid or end credit sequences, but there is a little tag at the end. Most of the movie theater places were one of the that I've heard, and I saw it for myself here. The people who clean up the theater seem to be kind of bum rushing everybody out, saying, "Yeah, there's no mid or end credit sequence. Why don't you get up and leave?" They're trying to force us out. I mean, the guys said they were trying to force us out. They're like, "We know you can stay till the end if you want, but we know there's nothing at the end." And I said, "Well, I heard there's like a stinger at the end, and there is, but it's not obvious if you're not looking for it." So if you leave right after the credit, well, don't leave right away, because they have a really nice bit at the end of the credits where all the main actors do something that they haven't done in a film before, which is really cool in the credits. So I thought that was a neat touch. And after that happens, you may as well go ahead and leave if you want. The stinger is not that important. It's kind of just a throwback to an older movie, And my son actually has a theory about what it could mean for the future. We'll see. It does set up a few possible future things, a couple of questions like how are they going to pull this off now that this is all over with, some of the upcoming movies. So we'll see what happens. As I said, I'm going to try to get MJ Khan to come on the show next weekend. If he cannot, I will probably do a more spoiler-oriented film, maybe a review. Maybe I'll try to find somebody else who can come on next weekend. So we'll see. I mean, I'd love MJ to come on, but if he can't do it, he can't do it. So I'm just thirsty. But it's worth it. Everybody's going to talk about it, and you may as well go see it, because if you're worried about it getting spoiled, you may as well just go ahead and see it as soon as you can, and enjoy it. I think a lot of people enjoyed it. There was some big moments at my theater that got some big applause, and then there was a couple moments where it seemed like I was the only one who applauded. So I don't know, but there's a couple of really big events, and some interesting stuff going on. So still trying to figure out, and there's some good symmetry that links up some of the movies. So that's my spoiler-free, as much as I can, review of Avengers Endgame. I liked it. It's an epic film, emotional. I maybe I'm just a horrible person, but I didn't cry. A lot of people did. And a lot of people got emotional at certain things, but it didn't affect me. And I said, there's something in the back of my mind. I don't know what it is that is keeping me from really, really loving the movie. I'm not, as I said, I liked it a lot, but I didn't maybe love it as much as everybody said. But there are a lot of people who actually did love it, so much so that there's a couple of interesting stories that I'm going to cover today. One I just got before I came down here. Apparently, a woman was hospitalized after uncontrollable crying after they saw Endgame. I can pretty much probably figure out why, but to be hospitalized for uncontrollable crying over characters in a movie is, call me a cynic, I guess. It just seems a little weird and a little odd to me. But everyone's different, and everyone had, it affects people in different ways. I think my kids cried a little bit, and I think my wife did, but I didn't, because I'm a heartless beast. There was a petition started when to terminate LaShawn McCoy, football player LaShawn McCoy's contract after he spoiled Endgame. So there are people, I guess he said something online he wasn't supposed to. I don't follow Shady, so I don't know what he said, but apparently fans of his from whatever team he's on now, I don't even know what team he's on. What team is LaShawn on? What team is Shady on? Let's see. Thousands of people on social media, and they're pissed. I was on the Bills now. Looks like he's on the Bills now. So Shady's on the Bills. So apparently he spoiled Endgame on good lord, on social media, and he's getting people coming out of work to petition that his contract is terminated. I find that kind of funny. But at the same time, you shouldn't spoil the movie. What's the other one? Man allegedly, there we go. Man allegedly attacked outside of the movie theater for spoiling Endgame. So I guess it's one of those, it's like that joke from The Simpsons where one of the flashback episodes, Homer and Marge went on a date to see Empire Strikes Back, and he walks out of the theater and there's lines of people waiting to get in to see the movie, and he says really loud, "Wow, that was great. I can't believe Darth Vader is Luke's father." And everybody's like, "Oh, come on, man." And then he was like, it's pretty obvious if you think about this, what he said back to them, I think. But that was, I guess, something similar that happened. Someone came out of Endgame and I guess said something like, such and so died. And they're like, ah, you son of a gun. And they got into allegedly a attack. Someone went and attacked them. So don't know if it's true. It's allegedly. So who knows? But again, just the craziness that this movie is engendering this weekend. Just be careful out there. We had no issues at our movie theater. I told the kids not to speak too loud about it once we left the theater because there were people waiting to get in to see one of the other showings. My theater didn't have. My theater had other showings of other movies, including Captain Marvel was still being shown in the movie theater. So that was kind of interesting. And so they had a bunch of theaters that had it, but not as many as I thought had been going on around the world. This is all sort of connected. So I got a couple more Avengers things, and then we'll move on to the next thing. A new shoe. As I said, I've been doing a story about shoes every week for like two months now, and it's going to keep happening because there's new shoes all the time. I got another story of shoes later on, but I'll talk about that this one since it's connected to Avengers. Adidas has gotten into the pop culture shoe business, and they have Avengers shoes available. Shoes that are the color of like Iron Man and Captain America and the Hulk. I mean, those are the most obvious ones with their colors. I mean, Hawkeye really doesn't have any colors. Black Widow doesn't really have any colors. Who else is one of the originals? Thor doesn't really have any colors, but they probably have some. But they have Avengers styled shoes available also. And good old Pornhub, one of the premier websites to go get your free porn if you're into that type of stuff online. They made a list going by their search engine of which Avenger most people want to bang. And the top three are Captain Marvel's number one, Black Widow's number two, and Spider-Man, of all people, is number three. So obviously it's when people use the search engine to look for porn with these characters in it, they type in Black Widow porn or Spider-Man porn or whatever. And, the porn companies have done these porn parodies forever. So you're probably going to find a sex scene between actors pretending to be these characters in Avengers. So, I mean, I know there's an Avengers one for sure. But that's so, I guess, since most porn is watched by men, I guess that's why, the two top ladies would be number one. I mean, Captain Marvel must be number one because of her movie just coming out last month and still fresh in people's minds. And also, she's a blonde, so a lot of people like the blondes. And then also Black Widow is another good one as well because of just who she is. And then Spider-Man's the one that threw me off. You'd think that a Thor or Captain America or even a Tony Stark Iron Man would be higher up on the list, or even a Black Panther for that matter. Nope, Spider-Man's the man. So I guess more people know Spider-Man because he's had so many different movies and stuff like that. It's a possibility. So I think that's all my Avengers news for this week. Sorry, I am extraordinarily tired. Yep. That is it for that. Next week is Free Comic Book Day, and I always want to push this. Next Saturday, May 4th, is Free Comic Book Day. It is the first Saturday of May every year. And in a way, it's kind of disappointing. I mean, I get why they did it, but it would have been fun to have Endgame premiere on the 3rd and then Free Comic Book Day be on the 4th, because that's the reason why they picked the 4th to be, or rather the first Saturday in May to be the Free Comic Book Day, because Marvel always had a movie premiering on that first weekend in May, first kicking off the summer season. But last year they moved Infinity War up a week because Deadpool 2 had jumped into the fray at mid-May, and they figured they were going to lose a week's worth of box office if they did that, so they just pushed it into a week where nobody was around, and so they got 3 weeks of number one and box office and promotion and stuff like that before Deadpool came and took over number one from them. So I guess they want to try to do something similar this time, where they said, hey, you know what? Everybody wants to see this. Let's release it early and see what happens. So that's what's going on. So next week, Avengers Endgame will still be out. So if you haven't seen it this week, or it might be the perfect time to go see it again if you've seen it, to go see it again would be next weekend as well. And then go to your local comic book store and get free comics. Now, I talk about this every year, but I'm going to keep bringing it up because it's an event that I feel strongly about because I'm a comic book guy. I'm considering buying a comic book store from a guy. I'm still working on that. So that would be an even bigger deal. But Free Comic Book Day is something that has been around since the turn of the century. And it is a good event. It's really fun, and it's a way to get people into comic book stores because right now we are in, as you can see, a $1 billion opening weekend. We are in the high end of the superhero movie industry. And we all know what's going to happen after this. If it's going to continue to trend this way, it's probably not going to be as successful, but it's still going to probably make billions of dollars because I don't think anybody sick of it, and people still want to know what's going to be coming up after this. Even though this is a tidy wrap up for it, there's still a lot of opening loose threads that are still pop up in this movie. And also, we already know of some movies that have come in, you're going to get sequels to your favorites, your Captain Marvel 2s and Black Panther 2s and Doctor Strange 2, and you're going to get a Black Widow movie. You're going to get Spider-Man's coming out in July. Ant-Man and the Wasp was talking about a third one. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 just got James Gunn back, so that's coming out as well. So you've got a whole bunch of sequels. And then you've got the Eternals, and you've got what was the other one that Shang-Chi is another one that's going to be coming up. So they've got some new stuff rolling through here as well. And, who knows what could come after that. Brie Larson, who's playing Captain Marvel, has signed for 7 films. Obviously her movies, and then I guess Avengers Endgame is part of that as well. So I guess you count that she's got 5 movies left, so that'd be her sequel, and that leaves 4 sort of lingering out there. Maybe a third one, but then that leaves 3. So who knows? Anyway, so that's coming up. If you don't know what Free Comic Book Day is, I'll do that real quick. You go to your local comic book store. They will give you, or you can actually pick it for yourself, but you can pick free comic books for yourself. You do not have to pay for anything. That's the big no-no, that they are doing this not to, you have to buy something to get a free comic. No, that's not what the whole point of Free Comic Book Day is. The point of Free Comic Book Day is to get people to come to your store, to promote your store, and get people to check it out that might normally not check it out. And that's why they always picked it on this weekend in May, because usually it'd be like, hey, the new Avengers movie's out, or new Iron Man movie's out, or the new Thor movie's out, or whatever, and you go see it. It's like, oh, let's go to the comic book store and see if there's any comics with him in it, and they would have sales and stuff like that for you for these comics. I do recommend that if you do go in to get your free comics, to just buy something. It doesn't have to be anything big, because you don't, as I said, you don't have to. You want to go in, grab your free comics, and leave, go ahead. It's fine. But the comic store owners have to actually pay for it. They don't get these comics for free. They pay like 25 cents for a copy. And that might not seem like a lot, but when you're buying 1,000 copies at 25 cents, that's a portion of your budget you need to throw out there. Again, it's good promotion and blah, 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 but it still costs them money. So they usually have, writers and artists coming to sign stuff. They have events, people in cosplay show up. They have, special sales just for Free Comic Book Day. Now, my store used to just be, grab whatever you want and be gone. But once they moved to their new store, it's been sort of, you can only get like 5 of them. And there's so many of them. And I was like, I don't know if I really like that. Free Comic Book Day, you should not put any limit on anything. You should just let them get whatever they want. And that should be the whole point of it. But what do I know? Anyway, but that's coming up. So if you don't know where your local comic book store is, or if they are going to be involved with Free Comic Book Day, there's 2 places you can check. Go to your search engine, type in Comic Shop Locator Service, or CSLS. And when the search results come up, it's probably going to be one of the top ones, Comic Shop Locator Service. Click on it. It'll take you to the Comic Shop Locator Service website. There'll be a little box on the side. Once you get to the website, you put your zip code in, and it'll list all the comic book stores in about 20-mile radius. Right now, I can think of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6, within about a 20-mile radius of this area. So they're out there. You just have to find them. Now, if you want to find out they're into Free Comic Book Day, just type in Free Comic Book Day website or something like that. It'll pop up, and it's done by the same people who do Comic Shop Locator Service. So you type in your zip code, and again, it'll show all the comic shops in your area, about 20-mile radius. Now, not every store might be taking part in Free Comic Book Day. Most do, but this will list all the ones that are, so you can check that out for yourself. So definitely go for it, just to go in, just to see what the modern day comic store looks like, because it's not like it was in the old days. So definitely go and check that out for yourself. All right, do I have anything else comic or superhero related? Excuse me. Well, if I do, I will get to it when I get to it. Last week, yeah, I may as well cover this real quick. There is one thing real quick. The MCU, what the MCU meant to me real quick, I had a realization that my son Noah was not even born yet when Iron Man came out in 2008. He was born in 2009. So that was kind of an interesting thing to think about. I went to pretty much every film in the movie theater, with the exception of a couple. I didn't see The Incredible Hulk. I didn't see Iron Man 3. I didn't see Thor: The Dark World in the movie theaters. But am I missing one? I've seen all the other ones except for those three in the movie theaters. But I made up for that when Avengers was going to come out in 2012. AMC and other movie companies were going to do marathons of the Marvel movies that had already come out. Now remember, this was phase 1, so it was just Iron Man, Iron Man 2, Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America, and then it led into the Avengers. So it was just only 6 movies in this case. And so I went to one of the movie marathons at the White Marsh Theater and spent the whole day watching movies. I was able to watch Incredible Hulk in the movie theater for the first time, and it was good. Now I wish I could have gone to the 2-day or the 3-day 22-hour or 52-hour one, but in New York, San Francisco, and Chicago, but just didn't get around to it. And also it was a nice little thing to do with my daughter, who got interested in it when she started watching, when she got older and she started hearing about it and seeing some of the stuff. She wanted to learn more about it, so her and I would have these movie marathons, and we watched all of them. The only ones I haven't showed her Incredible Hulk yet, or Iron Man 3, which are 2 of my least favorite ones. So I said, you don't really need to watch these to get the general idea of what's going on in the Marvel universe. And we wanted to watch all the Marvel movies before Infinity War came out. That was the plan anyway, and we did. We were able to do it, and she became hooked on that. Now, for those people who did like Iron Man 3, or who did watch Iron Man 3, or did like it, there is a cameo from somebody in that movie, not Happy, who is in Endgame also, but that's not who I'm talking about. It's someone that you're not expecting to see show up in the movie. So just be aware of that. So if you've seen Iron Man 3, if you haven't, and you haven't seen Endgame yet, maybe take a look at Iron Man 3 and then go into the movie, and you might recognize the person. I had to explain to my daughter who it was because she hadn't seen Iron Man 3. So yeah, I guess that's it. I mean, I thought I was going to do more about it, but I'm just so tired right now that maybe next week I'll get my head together, because we've got nothing going on next week. So let me tell you a little bit about my sandwich with Peter Dinklage. Last week I brought back, I think it was last week or it was 2 weeks ago. Might have been 2 weeks ago. I brought back In Dreams, which is a segment I used to do when I remembered my dreams. Actually, it's 3 weeks ago. When I remembered my dreams from sleeping, and if it was an extraordinarily weird or bizarre one, I revealed it to you guys out there, and just give you an idea of the thought process in my head. Which reminds me, you like my new haircut? It's my new haircut. I love it. I think it's great. I love my hair's finally short back again, which I enjoy, and fantastic. So basically, my dream last night, I dreamt that I was at a open air, like restaurant bar type of place, and there was only one person like working everywhere. And I went in and I ordered a BLT, which is a bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich, and sat down. And Peter Dinklage was there. I think he was with a few other people, but we sat down and started to have a conversation about stuff. Then a guy I work with, his name is Sean, came in. He ordered something, and he got it before I got my BLT. And then Sean took the sandwich and left without paying for it. And I paid for my BLT, but I sat there and had a conversation with Peter Dinklage about, I don't remember what else, but it was weird. While I was eating the sandwich, having a conversation with Peter Dinklage of Game of Thrones fame. For those who also watch Game of Thrones and are fans of the Avengers, this is a gut-punching weekend for you, with the possibility of deaths in Avengers Endgame, and then possibility of even more deaths in the new episode of Game of Thrones. It's going to be on Sunday with the Battle of Winterfell, which was one that the show's been building to for, was it 7-8 seasons? So we'll see what happens. But so it was just weird. We were out this outdoor restaurant, and it was weird. And then Taylor Swift showed up, and she was getting involved with, here's where the porn comes in, which is weird, with this group that does porn called Bang Brothers. And I just remember that it was like on the side of their van, and Taylor was all dressed in some skimpy, weird outfit. And I think that was a connection to a previous dream I'd had before the sandwich with Peter Dinklage. And I kind of remember that, but not really. So that's why I didn't write it down. But that was my dream about a sandwich with Peter Dinklage. And so what it ended up doing was, when I got, as I told you, I got up at like 5:30 in the morning. I actually sat and opened up my Amazon app, and I ordered the I Drink and Know Things shirt because of that dream. So I'll have that, and maybe I will show that off in a couple weeks when I do the show again. So that's my In Dreams with Peter Dinklage. This weekend is the movie Aliens 40th anniversary. So there's a lot of stuff going on about that. My friend Corey, who's on the NSFW podcast. Let me get a real name for it to get you guys to check. Definitely should check that out. It's a gaming pop culture sort of podcast. Let's see if it pops up here. I can probably just search for it. So let's find Corey. There he is. Yeah, it's the NSFW Gamer Podcast. They've done 22 episodes. The most recent one was posted on Facebook yesterday. I share it, so you can go to my page. It's going to be on my page somewhere. Corey was a guy I worked with at Diamond when we worked at Diamond together, and he went out to California. Recently got married too, so congratulations to you on that, Corey. So he's from the area, and he lived down in Olney near where my wife grew up, so it's kind of interesting. So he was a huge Alien fan, so he did a bunch of stuff about that, discussions about that. The kids who got famous, I guess in New Jersey, New York, whatever, who did their high school play as Alien and got lauded for that. Well, guess who showed up and watched it? Because they did a special one night only event for the 40th anniversary, which was, I guess, last night or something like that. Sigourney Weaver showed up to see the play, and that must have been outstanding for the students who never who watched the movie and said, "Oh my God, that's her." And she was there, and she talked to all of them, and that was kind of interesting. She also posted a video on the 40th anniversary of Alien and thanked fans and stuff like that. And it also brings up with another shoe aspect. I talked about the shoes for Avengers. Well, there's actually Alien shoes also for the 40th anniversary. These are not, though, they do not look like the Alien. They look like shoes that the crew wore in Alien. So if you want to, get that feeling again, to look like that again, I'd go check that out. I guess it's something you have to find online. So I liked Alien. I liked Aliens. Alien 3 was meh. Alien 4 was meh. And I saw, what was that one movie that Ridley directed? But I just saw that one and not the newest Alien movie. So I don't know what's going on with that. But so happy 40th anniversary there, Alien. Your scary film. Ridley Scott did a great job directing it. It's a great haunted house in space story, and still up there to this day. So congratulations. Let's talk about some drinks. Today, and today only, was the first annual Reisterstown Beer and Wine Festival. That's local news. It was very, very windy here today, so I felt bad for the first year doing this. They actually, when you go out of my neighborhood, out that way, when you go out of my neighborhood, and there's a road called Valley Center Road that goes past our neighborhood. So you pull out, there's like two exits and entrances to our neighborhood, one at the top of the street, one at the bottom of the street. And when you exit or you're entering from it, you're coming in off of, or you're exiting out onto Valley Center Drive or Road or whatever. Well, they took over half of that road for this wine and beer fest. So it was like $40. You get like 30 different wines and beers, and they had food, and they had bands playing, stuff like that. So, and it didn't block the main roads because there are ways you can get around without having to go on Valley Center Road. So we didn't get a chance to go because it was expensive, and we had stuff to do. I had to get my hair cut, and the kids and Dawn had a scout thing they had to do, and then we went to see the movie and dinner. And then by the time we got back home, everything was cleared out because it was only like 12 to 5. So it looked successful. When I drove by after getting my hair cut, there was a huge line of people waiting to get in. So hopefully, the wind didn't scare anybody away. The wind is luckily has died down. It should be a nice day tomorrow for Hershey Park. So good on that. So that's that drink. If you like your coffee and you like your booze, coffee infused vodka is a new thing now. So it's vodka that has coffee, I guess, either grounds or actual coffee itself put into the distilling process and creates the vodka. So you get a little bit of a coffee kick to the flavor of the vodka, or you get the caffeine kick or whatever, and the alcohol kick. So we'll see. I'm not a big fan of vodka. It's a better mixer than most stuff, but that's just me. I know some people like it. So that's out now too. Stuff I am interested in is I'm interested in all kinds of new sodas, and there's a whole bunch of new sodas coming out for this summer. And there's one flavor that's being used for both of them. Excuse me. The first one that was introduced was Dark Berry Dr. Pepper. I love Dr. Pepper, and Dark Berry Dr. Pepper will be coming out this summer. It's actually, if you look at the can, the ad that they have out there for it now, if you look at the can, it says Spider-Man Far From Home. So it's sort of a crossover with the MCU movie of Spider-Man Far From Home, which comes out July 2nd, which is the actual final movie of the MCU, this phase. And so good on that. It sounds good. Dark Berry Dr. Pepper sounds really interesting, and I'm actually interested in trying it. And then I was flipping through stuff the other day, and I noticed Pepsi has 3 new flavors they're going to be releasing this summer. One sounds really good. I think I've had it before. I had the lemon version, and I really, really like that. There was one version they released that was like a Pepsi lemon that came out at the beginning of a football season, and it was only available during football season. And I used to buy cases of it because I only found it at the Giants, so I would buy cases of it. I had like 4 cases of this that I drank because I loved it so much, and they haven't returned it. Well, now they're doing lemon's cousin, lime, so there's going to be Pepsi Lime, which I think will probably taste pretty good. They already have a Diet Diet Pepsi Lime, or they have a Diet Dr. Coke one, but I think Pepsi Lime should taste pretty good. They have Pepsi Mango, which I'm not as certain about. I think I'll try one, but much like the cinnamon Pepsi, I did not enjoy that at all. So I will have to try it as a one-off before I decide I want to buy a 6-pack or 12-pack. I think the Pepsi Lime, I'll probably buy a 12-pack. I think I'm going to like that. Same with the Dark Berry. Dr. Pepper, I'll probably buy a 12-pack for that as well. But we also have a berry Pepsi. So you have Dark Berry Dr. Pepper and a berry Pepsi. So I like to try that as well. So those are the new drinks to keep an eye out this summer. You'll probably, the thing is, I said you'll probably see them in convenience stores first, or even at Target or Walmart first. But I was actually surprised that when Orange Vanilla Coke came out not too long ago, that my local grocery store was the only place I could find it. I went to Wawa, they didn't have it. I went to Royal Farms, they didn't have it. So, and I went to my regular grocery store, and there's a 12-pack. I was like, oh, interesting. So keep an eye on those. I will definitely, and I'll give it a try. And who knows, maybe I'll try it live on the show. This is something that hasn't to do with drinks or Avengers or comic books or Peter Dinklage or whatever. But I saw this today, and I'm kind of fascinated by it. But at the same time, I was like, this is kind of dangerous too. Lamborghinis are the penis car of the universe. Let's just say it. People want to get a Lamborghini to prove how manly they are, or they just like speed. It's like one of these really. It's like a car when you hear fast and sexy cars. Lamborghinis are usually up there, and Corvettes and stuff like that are all listed. But this Lamborghini is kind of special. It's a contemporary one, which has I guess it was an LED display that you can control the color of your car by using a handheld device. Now, obviously, there's got to be panels or LED lights or something that is able to change the color of the car, but the entire car changes colors, and it's multiple colors too. It's not just like one or two, it's like 10 to 15 different colors you can turn to. Some are like stripes and other stuff like that. Some can go from like a red to a black to a green to a yellow to a white to a silver to a gold, stuff like that. Just by flicking the button, you click the button and the whole car just it shifts colors and turns a different color. Pop it again, it shifts to a different color again. It's really cool and quite fascinating. But after reading the article, I started thinking about it. I was like, what if you had a thief who had the ability to do this, and they either robbed something, or they was a hit and run, or they did something they weren't supposed to, and the getaway car was a Lamborghini, and all the witnesses are like, it's a red Lamborghini, and to keep an eye out for. And so once you get away, the villains are like, all right, they saw the red Lamborghini, you click the button and it becomes like a white Lamborghini. And you drive down the road and the police will be looking for a red Lamborghini. I mean, they might see a Lamborghini go by, like, is that it? No, it's not the right color. And keep moving. And they're scot-free away. And then, they'll keep an eye out for the red, and they'll keep looking for a red Lamborghini, and they'll see all these different Lamborghinis. They'll see a white one or a green one or a blue one or whatever. And they're like, this isn't what we're looking for. Where can this car be? It just disappeared off face plant. Well, that's the car. So that's the only thing I'm worried about. That it's a cool device, but it's kind of scary that not so nice people could possibly take advantage of that. A couple of trailers came out this week, and I saw them before an Endgame. The first one was Men in Black International. The newest trailer came out with that, with more footage. That's the one that has Chris Hemsworth of Thor fame and Tessa Thompson of Valkyrie and Creed fame reteaming to reboot the Men in Black franchise while not ignoring what happened in the original three with Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith. This one has completely different, set in a different place in London. It has different actors, obviously Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson, but also Emma Thompson and Liam Neeson are also starring in this movie as well. It's got the Men in Black sort of feel to it, even though it's not directed by Barry Sonnenfeld, but it's got the comedy, action, thriller type of thing you're looking for. So it looks good, and I'm intrigued by it. It opens on June 14th, and so now when you go see Avengers Endgame, you will probably see the trailer, and hopefully you'll like it. I liked it a lot. Now, this movie, when I saw that the trailer was come out for, I was like, wow, they finally made it. There is another Will Smith, a new Will Smith movie coming out where he sort of seems to be getting back to his roots, because he's had a little bit of a run lately where he hasn't been doing that well with some of the stuff that he's chosen. I mean, he did okay with Suicide Squad, but that could have been more along the lines of that was, an ensemble piece, and more people might have wanted to go see Harley than him in that. Regardless, this movie has been trying to get made for years. I remember back in the 20th century that was still talking about this in the 90s, and they were trying to get Harrison Ford to star in it, but it didn't take long. And then Will Smith signed on, and then nothing came of it. And this was years. So I just thought that the film died and they moved on with their lives. And then I was wrong, because I saw the trailer. This movie is coming out in October, and the movie is called Gemini Man. The premise is, Will Smith plays an older, I guess, police officer or FBI agent or something like that, who is being stalked and attacked by a weird stalker type guy who seems to know all of his moves and knows what he's going to do. And he's been getting hurt in these things. So he has to, end up going up against this person who's trying to kill him, discovers it is his younger self, but a clone of his younger self, going up against his present day older self. So they use the de-aging program you see in all the movies nowadays, and that changed it up. So the trailer looks interesting. It's directed by Ang Lee, which also kind of fascinates me also because he's the type of director that does a million different movies. He just doesn't get pigeonholed in doing one, and he does a good job on all of them. So I'm intrigued to look at it. It's Ang Lee. It's Will Smith taking on young Will Smith. Could be an interesting take on it. Of the two, though, I think Men in Black International is one I want to see more. But Gemini Man, I've been reading about this movie for years and how it's been trying to get off the ground, and now it looks like they finally got it, and it should make some good money. It's coming out October 11th, so probably not a lot of competition will be coming out on that date. So good for them. The NFL draft was this weekend. I'm a Ravens fan. I'm also a Redskins fan. My wife is a bigger Redskins fan than I. But from what I've seen, I haven't seen what they picked up today. But from what they did the first three or so drafts picks, the first three rounds. And then I did see some of the ones that they did for the fourth and fifth rounds, but I don't know all the ones that they've got today. Both the Ravens and Redskins seem to have a really good draft this year. I'm particularly intrigued by the Redskins, who picked up their quarterback of the future, an Ohio State guy who is local, who lives in Potomac, Maryland, and went to Ohio State. Was supposed to go to Maryland, but the coach that he wanted to be with transferred out before he could start. So he said, "I'm not going there now," and so he transferred to Ohio State, where he became a huge star. He was the offensive player of the year in the Big Ten this year, I think, and he was offensive player of the week 6 times in his career. I don't remember what his name is, but the funny thing, so the Redskins drafted him to be their quarterback of the future. And then in the second day of the draft, they drafted his favorite target at Ohio State to be his wide receiver. So the two of them are going to hook back up again on the NFL field this fall. So that should be interesting to see them together and see them grow. It was great. They showed a video of the wide receiver, McLaren, getting the call from the Redskins thing. He said, "Yeah, he throws the ball all over the place, and I catch it all over the place." So he says, very excited to get back to work with him. So good on that. So good draft, and looking forward to the football season. So hooray for that. Some good stories. High school students build dog houses for pets, dogs obviously, who lost their homes in the California fires. So these high school students, they built all these dog houses for people out in California, and they're trucking them out there and giving them to these families that lost everything. So this is one less thing that they have to worry about. Free dog houses, they don't have to pay for anything, and it's out of the goodness of their heart. Also out of the goodness of people's heart was two African American men invite elderly people who are eating alone in restaurants to come join them and sit with them and talk with them while they're eating in the restaurant as well. So again, kind of nice to see the younger generation jumping on doing stuff for other people, which is something that has been severely lacking in our country lately for a while now. I'd never heard of these before, but it makes sense to have these and to finally have like signs and stuff like that that shows you what they are and where they are. Something called a witness tree. Witness trees are trees that have been around for a long, long time, and they have little plaques that call themselves witness trees and what they witnessed. There's one that was around during the Civil War and witnessed a bloody battle. So, they have a little plaque saying, it's witnessed, this witness tree witnessed the Battle of Antietam or whatever it was, and on this date and such and such. So, because trees live for a long time. So that's kind of a neat thing to have witness trees. Oh, Jesus, I'm sorry. Trees that have seen history. So, good on that. Witness tries labeled that within husband. I can't read my own handwriting here. I can't read this. Witness tries labeled that withstood historical. Oh, witness trees. Oh, it's the witness tree story. I'm really tired, so sorry about that. Walmart is selling Nickelodeon slime popsicles this summer. They look like they're green and orange, and I guess they have a apple orangey flavor, but they say it's nostalgic. Maybe it means that it's come out before. I don't remember them, but it's possible they might have been out before. It's been a long time since Double Dare and all that stuff from Nickelodeon, slime, and you can't do that on television, so like that's been out, so who knows. Whew. Also part of the summer, an avocado pool-shaped float with removable seed/ball is now available. It looks like an avocado with a seed in it, but it's actually a ball you can take out and throw and play in the pool or ocean or whatever. And it looks like an avocado. So fans of avocados, there you go. Also coming out this summer, we have, I think I talked about these before, pink coffin sea floats. Sea floats that look like coffins. So you can get into them, I guess, just lie down and float, but it looks like you're in a coffin. So who knows, maybe. And is there anything else summer related? I don't see anything here right now. We come back, it might pop up again. I don't know if there's another one here or not. So, all right then. Next up, we have. They'll come up with anything these days, particularly for people who absolutely adore their pets. Well, now you can get matching best friend necklaces for you and your dog. The one they showed us was the necklace for the human is a regular necklace with a little silver bone on it or gold bone on it, just a little one. And then it goes to the dog. The dog has a necklace that has a big bone, but a little bone piece is out, which was taken to make the necklace for the owner. So if you really, really love your dog and they're not too bad about wearing jewelry, hey, go for it and get yourself and your dog matching best friend necklaces. They'll come up with anything nowadays. Amazon Prime is my friend. I like Amazon Prime. I like it so much I ordered something else besides the shirt. I ordered a book I've been looking forward to also, and that's coming Amazon Prime. It's actually coming tomorrow. So I don't know if they started this, but Amazon Prime is moving to 1-day shipping instead of 2-day shipping, which is always good because you can get it sooner now. Now, obviously, I don't know if that's going to cause more items to not be Prime, but if you get that Prime little logo on it, it means you can get it within a day and you don't have to pay any freight for it. So keep an eye out for that. As I said, I think it started because I ordered this book online and it says coming tomorrow. So I was like, okay. Now the shirt isn't coming Prime. The shirt is going from a third party or something like that. So it'll be here sometime in May 3rd to the 10th, I think was the window they gave it. They tend to be closer to the early part of the week, of the time frame. So I'll probably get it sometime next week. Maybe in time for the weekend. After Disney just spent billions and billions of dollars to pick up Fox, they are now starting to make a run at Hulu and are thinking of buying Hulu as well. I guess not to compete with their streaming service. They're going to take over Hulu and turn it into something different, I guess, than their streaming service so that people want both and they'll get paid both for both. So keep an eye on that. Marlboro is going to stop making cigarettes, which is a first. A lot of cigarette companies are stopped making the physical cigarettes now. They're sticking more and more with the e-cigarettes now and doing stuff like that. So actual cigarettes are going to be getting extinct soon, it looks like. Marlboro is the first one that I know of who is no longer going to be making those types of cigarettes. Also, speaking of your pets and your Game of Thrones, Game of Thrones episode 3 or 4, I think it's 3, is tomorrow, which is the Battle of Winterfell, where lots of people are probably going to die. And it's a huge story plot line for the show itself. And it leads to the end of the Game of Thrones storyline since the show is going off the air after its season this year. Anyway, talking about pets, you can get your pet their own Iron Throne pet bed. Looks like the Iron Throne, the picture you've seen all the time with the king sitting on the throne and all the swords and stuff sticking out of the back. Well, now you can get something similar, but instead of a chair, it's a pet bed for your pets. So they can sleep on the Game of Thrones, the big throne, which everybody wants. Go figure. Last week I talked about multiple deaths of people at the Grand Canyon, and they haven't seen a spike like that in a while. Well, the Grand Canyon claimed a 5th victim as a woman fell to her death, and people are trying to figure out why and how that happened and how and why it is the 5th person to die at the Grand Canyon this season, which is a lot for a national park. To be continued, I guess. The universe is expanding so fast that scientists may need to create new physics to explain it all. I've always hated physics, so this is just more along the lines of, oh God, something else I have to learn. But in order to get this, you have to do this. All right, what am I looking for? Braille blocks from Lego are now available for the blind, so they can feel what the block feels like, and they can know where it needs to go and what it's supposed to do in the long run of things. So that's good on that. I also have been talking a lot about different hotels you can get into now, and they have all kinds of weird ones all the time. This one pretty much takes the cake. Now, I think I've talked about it the last few weeks, like Stagecoach hotels and all glass hotels where you can see the Aurora Borealis and stuff like that. Well, this is in Idaho. and you can actually sleep in a giant potato. So you go to, excuse me, the site that has all these giant potato hotel rooms or whatever, and you open the door and you go inside the giant potato, and it's exactly what you think it is. It's shaped like a potato, and it at the end there's the bed right there, and there's some chairs and stuff like that, but it appears to be no windows, and just, it's got to be crazy dark in there when the lights are off. There's electricity in there, so you can have light in there, and if you want to get natural light in, you're going to have to leave the door of the potato open to do that. But at night you don't probably want to do that, so you close that. It's got to be dark as all heck, which might be good for some hot sex or good sleep, that type of thing, where it's completely dark and you can't see a thing. So pretty cool. Stay in a giant potato. Ashes of a beloved cat, I guess by one of the scientists at NASA, will be launched into space on the next space rocket launch. So he's putting his cat's ashes into this rocket, and they're going to jettison it into outer space. So Gunn knew the name of this cat was Pikachu, based on the Pokemon character, I'm assuming. So that's kind of a sweet story. Another animal story was, we have these things called cell phones, and orangutans and monkeys are not that far from being human. Well, there's video of a monkey trying to figure out how to use one of these, and he actually does a pretty good job about doing it. So good on that. This is a weird story. A disabled elderly woman on a mobility scooter was arrested after leading police on a low-speed chase. Now, you'd think that would be an Onion headline, but it isn't. It was on Yahoo, and it's an actual story. So this woman, I guess, was driving her mobility cart in the road when the police saw this and were going to pull her over and tell her she can't do that. But she was complaining, saying that she had no other way of traveling because she didn't have a car. And so this was the only thing she had. So I guess she led them on a low-speed chase. I guess they didn't want to jump in there right away and take her down because she was elderly. So who knows? This is not really a Marvel story because it's not about the Marvel movie Endgame, but it's about, at the premiere on Tuesday, Mark Ruffalo, who plays Bruce Banner, Incredible Hulk, was on the red carpet with his wife, and they're being interviewed by people like that, and someone says, "Hey, did you know Brie Larson before you met her on the set of the Avengers?" Brie Larson, who plays Captain Marvel. It's like, no, I'd never really met her before just then. And the guy was like, that's interesting because she was actually in your movie 13 Going on 30. He's like, what? Really? And the guy pulls out a picture, and there's young Brie Larson as a member of the Six Chicks, which is the clique in the 1980s that young Jennifer Garner wanted to join, but couldn't because she was too nerdy. But Brie Larson didn't have any real lines that I could recall. She was just one of the six chicks, pretty faced chicks. She might have had a line or two in there that was just part of this clique. And Ruffalo was completely flabbergasted, like, wow, that's crazy that she looks so young. And I just did that movie not too long ago. It was like 16 years ago. And it totally blew his freaking mind that Brie Larson, who he worked with in Endgame, he had worked with before, but technically he didn't because she was young and was a member of the Six Chicks when the movie starts in the 1980s, when Mark Ruffalo's character was played by a young kid, because it took place when they were high schoolers. So Mark Ruffalo never had any scenes with the young Six Chicks, but he's like, wow, I didn't even know she was in it. So, and I guess when you're on set, you don't have really time to sit down and talk. So just the reaction to it was absolutely cute and funny. Dunkin' Donuts is releasing donut hole lip balm. I guess it tastes like donut holes. Um, you know, lip balms today have all kinds of flavors, so why not do a donut flavored one? Why not? TV show Jeopardy is making history. There's a guy on there now who keeps winning these huge pots, huge winnings. He has now surpassed $1 billion and was one of the fastest contestants to get to that point. So he's still champion, and he's still going on. Since they no longer do the 5-time champion, you're done. You keep going till you lose. That one guy, Ken, was on there for like 3 years before he lost. A semi truck capsized, and avocados were spread out all over the highway out in California earlier this week. Nobody was hurt, but still losing a lot of avocados, and they're extraordinarily expensive, and losing them on the sidewalk and the highway is quite an issue. There's now frozen slushies with rainbow swirl glitter at Disney. Disney has all kinds of new stuff all the time. So if you haven't been to Disney, or if you had, there's probably a whole bunch of stuff you probably haven't tried yet. This is for fans of slushies and swirly glitter, edible glitter stuff. So go for it. Japan's a great country. They got all kinds of stuff. We told you a story a couple months ago about the dinosaur dinosaur hotel. Well, welcome to Japan's Poop Museum. They have a museum that is nothing but stuff about poop. Pictures of poop, and might even actually have some actual fecal matter under display cases. They've got the poop emoji all over the place. It's a weird thing, but hey, Japanese are always changing things up a little bit. The s'mores frappuccino is back at Starbucks. So, the s'mores Oreos coming out last week, or coming out soon, which I discussed last week. Now you got your s'mores frappuccino. So totally go for it. There is been discovered toxic fungi in outer space, which could kill anybody who breathes it in. Hello, Andromeda strain, which is such a great story if you haven't read it yet. It's about an alien virus that gets released in a bunker, and they have to figure out a way to shut it down, or else if it gets out, it's going to kill millions of people. So this toxic fungi just sounds like something that, hey, you can leave it in space. Don't bring it down to Earth, or we're all going to die. Sad news. A woman was killed when she falls into a meat grinder at work. I can't even imagine what that death must be like, falling into a meat grinder. It's probably painful for a while before you die, because you're not dying right away. It's just your bits and pieces of you are getting grinded up, and it just must be awful. And then to just be ground up into meat, it's disgusting. Speaking of being ground up into stuff, let's see if I can find this around here. Yep. Washington State to begin allowing human composting as a potential burial suggestion. When somebody dies, you have the offer to, they can be buried, or they can be put into the fire and given the ashes. Well, now they have a third one where you can have, human composting, which they have created some sort of natural organic, like redistribution or whatever, which is accelerated decomposition of a body, which will turn it into soil, which you can then turn around and use in your plants. So you can use human decomposition compost to make your plants grow better. It's definitely different. Who knows? Weird. Oh, I did that one. Cold brew coffee, caffeine, gummy bears are here. So if you need to have your caffeine kick and you don't want to have coffee, or you had plenty of coffee and you still need more caffeine and you like yourself gummy bears and you like coffee flavor, now you have coffee flavored gummy bears, which give you caffeine. So good on that as well. Interesting. That's out and available now. Here's a couple of McDonald's stories. A 2-year-old girl, one good and one interesting one. A 2-year-old girl finds a used condom, I guess, on the floor of McDonald's or on a tray or something like that. A used condom, and the 2-year-old puts it in her mouth. A used condom. So either it had stuff inside of it, or you could just tell, but it was just there, and this little girl picked up, because when you're 2 years old, you pick up everything and eat everything, put it in your mouth. Dirt, rocks, grass, whatever. You just got to keep an eye on your kids, make sure they don't do that. Well, this is a used condom that she put in her mouth, which is just absolutely, makes you want to vomit, actually. Hopefully it wasn't full or anything. On the flip side, there was a 5-year-old boy. Do I have the story on here? I gotta have it on here somewhere. There it is. 5-year-old Michigan boy calls 911 and asks the police, the 911 operator, "Can you get me some McDonald's? It's an emergency. I want McDonald's." And maybe it's because his parents wouldn't let him have McDonald's and he wants McDonald's. So he called 911 and said, "I want McDonald's. Can you get it for me?" I don't think they got it for him, but that's still kind of funny that a 5-year-old would do something like that. A couple of space stories. Titan, which is the moon of Saturn, which is a fascinating moon to me, because it is one of the only places besides Earth that we know of that has actual lakes and streams you can see on the surface. Now we have the oceans and rivers and lakes and stuff like that. So does Titan, except it's not water. It's a different chemical, but it's in this liquid form because it's so cold down there. But the fact is, if you would land on Titan on the shore, you could look out and you would see liquid. And that's cool in and of itself. Now, a lot of news stories came out the last few years about something called the polar vortex, which, again, kind of proves that climate change is real, because I remember only 1 year before the most recent years where we had this polar vortex come down and hit us, and that was in 1994 when I was a sophomore. Yeah. No, junior. Yes, a junior in college. And there was a week in January where temperature was below 20, was below zero. -20, -10, -20, -15, stuff like that. So, that was the only time I could remember a cold snap like that, until recently, when we had these things called the polar vortex, where the really cold temperature came down. Now, they said that the reason why climate change could be the cause for this is because the ice is melting in the Arctic, even during the winter. And when it's all frozen up there, still, it doesn't have the same thickness, and there's not as much area that has ice anymore. Now, if climate change wasn't happening, we wouldn't be getting the polar vortex as often as we have been, because what happens is the fronts stay up in the cold. When there's lots of ice and glaciers and stuff like that, it builds up the cold, and it stays up there and doesn't make its way down south. It somehow is just able to stay in that area and remain there because of the ground and stuff like that. So there is a polar vortex that hits Titan, and their polar vortex lasts for 22 Earth years. So once you get into a polar vortex on Titan, winter definitely is coming and stays for quite a while. Also from space, a Mars lander, the InSight, I think is what it's called. NASA InSight excuse me, they are testing to see if there is tremors and earthquakes on Mars. And they got their proof this week when they recorded their first ever tremor on Mars, which is kind of a big deal. And another robot thing, a Hexa robot, which I guess you can get from Amazon or whatever, is a new thing called a Hexa robot, which you put your plants on. And what it'll do is, if the Hexa robot is on while you're out, or you forget to do this, it will move the plant to where it needs to go to stay warm and to get healthy. So I find that kind of an interesting story as well. Did I talk about that? Yeah, I can't find what I just talked about. A female MMA fighter was at the beach in her bikini, just minding her own business, when some dude comes up to her and starts exposing himself to her, thinking she was a hottie, and they were kind of isolated a little bit. So he decided to expose himself to her, except he didn't know she was an MMA fighter, and so she got pissed and she took the guy down and beat him senseless. But they sent stuff to people, so I think they did. I'm trying to remember the whole story behind that. No, that's something else. Man, where'd that come from? I'm tired, that's why I started coming up with stuff. But no, so she beats up this guy pretty good because she's an MMA fighter, so that's kind of interesting. People are pooping at an alarming rate in the streets of San Francisco. So you go down to San Francisco and you take a walk around the pier, Fisherman's Wharf, or Chinatown, or whatever, and you notice just the amount of poop on the floor, not from animals, but from people. It's been increasing every year. No one knows why. More homeless people, maybe. More people don't care. I don't know. So yeah, that's what I meant. I was talking about the Hexa robot earlier. Yeah, the Hexa robot will walk your plants to where the sun is. So if you're out and about and you haven't moved your plants yet, the machine will get up and walk the plant over to where the sun is to keep getting its sun. So that's interesting as well. Another more shoe story. Harry Potter has now entered the shoe business, teaming up with Vans to create Harry Potter Vans shoes. I've never had Vans. I've kind of liked how they've looked before. So, we'll see. And finally, with the shoe stuff, there are Star Wars moccasins, 15 styles of them for younger kids. So it's like Yoda and C-3PO and R2-D2 pictures, stuff like that. But they are their own moccasins, so that also counts towards the shoe stories. Beethoven was voted the nation's favorite composer over Mozart. That's more for the classical music fans out there, but there was a vote, and everybody liked Beethoven better than Mozart. I don't know what that says. I feel like I'm missing something up here. No, it's over here. Okay. I can't see what that says. I don't know. That says something about computer move. Oh, mouse, computer mouse. A leather and wood computer mouse has been created. It's fancy mouse. These are what mice look like usually. But this one's a fancy looking one made of wood and leather. So fancy people can have their fancy mice. This past Sunday was Easter, and a Florida Easter bunny was caught on film beating the crap out of some dude. So it is Florida, but it was Easter night, I guess, and somebody was dressed up as Easter bunny and just happened to notice that a woman and a man were tussling a little bit on the sidewalk, and I guess the bunny might have known what was going on or just assume what was going on and went after the male. And so there's videotape of it, and it's funny watching. It's always funny watching people dressed up as mascots or holiday creatures or whatever, doing stuff to other people. Like there's a video I shared not too long ago for, I guess it was Easter Sunday also, where down at Nationals Park in Washington during the Nationals game, they have the running of the presidents where they have three giant-headed you know, presidents that run from like center field to the dugout, and it's a race, and you cheer on who you think should win or vote for who should win, and so on and so forth. So they did something similar with that, but no, for I guess it was Easter, because and it must have been like a college day or something like that, because all these college mascots jumped the presidents who were running around the outfield and were knocking them down and out. So it was kind of funny. And it's always, there's also a funny thing with young kids taking on mascots in football, and they jump over the line and tackle these young kids before they can throw the ball. They don't care. But this dude was dressed up as an Easter bunny and was beating the crap out of this one dude who was scuffling with this woman. So either this Easter bunny knew what that was all about, or saw the woman was getting beaten and just decided, hey, I got to protect the woman, even though he didn't know the situation. Maybe the woman started. I don't know. Regardless, that's what he did. Also from Florida, a Florida man decides that he's going to impersonate a police officer. So one night he's pretending to be a police officer, and he pulls somebody over for speeding. And as he's walking over to give them, a ticket or whatever, discover that the person they pulled over is an undercover police officer who has found out the scam that this person was doing and had the guy arrested. So the guy impersonating a cop gets arrested by a guy who is undercover, an undercover cop. That's all for Florida I have, I think. Study says tequila can help you live longer, and pizza is a better breakfast food than cereal. I think I went over those before, but that's your study says. Pizza is a better breakfast food. Also, tequila helps you lose weight. Do with that what you will. Animal story. A baby chimp. Wow, there's actually a lot of monkey ones this week. A baby chimp absolutely has a meltdown and a fit when he's not allowed to ride on a motorcycle with someone. So it's a video of this guy on a motorcycle, and he's revving it all up, and the monkey was sitting with him for a little while, but now the guy's got to move and is leaving the village or whatever. And this monkey, he's a small monkey, he's not a big monkey, is jumping around and screeching at him. It's like, rah, 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 and it wants to jump up there. The guy's trying to make him not get up there because he needs to leave and doesn't want to take a monkey with him. So he's got to get out of there. So the fact is that a monkey wants to drive on a motorcycle. Again, it's proving my point that the animals are, taken over. There's another story. A orangutan is videotaped fighting off bulldozers who are destroying his home. That in itself is a heartbreaking video to watch. But the fact is, this orangutan was protecting his property, much like a person might, by swinging sticks and banging on the trucks and stuff like that to make sure that they don't destroy his home. I don't think it worked. It's a sad story, but still, the fact is he was trying to stop it. So he has a realization that something's not right, and I need to do something about it. And that's showing signs of something going on in their head. Finally, the first ever conjoined twin deer has been born, and is a two-headed deer, and they share the same body. Why not? Why not have a two-headed deer conjoined twin type of thing in the animal kingdom? Why not? Surprised to happen more often, but it doesn't. Christian Life International softball team decided that they wanted to get a new logo for their softball shirts. So CLI, this is pretty cool, Christian Life International. But they decided that it wasn't quite what they were looking for, so they added a cross at the end. So it's CLI cross, which looks an awful lot like a T. And when you look at the T-shirt blown up, it says clit, as in short for clitoris, which is the sexual button in the woman that gets them off every time. And so that's the religious group that had no idea what they were doing when they made this logo, but it spells out clit. CLI, which is what they're looking for, and then a cross that looks like a T is just interesting. I'd like to bring that up. Bring up some other fictional stuff. My Aunt Jessica Lange is 70 years old this week. I make that joke all the time because our last names are spelled the exact same way. She lives in Virginia, which isn't that far, obviously, from Maryland. So I like to call her Aunt Jessica. And I had a guy in college going for about half a semester that Jessica Lange was actually my cousin. So, because my aunt. So kind of funny about that. This is a Marvel one I missed, but it's not about Endgame, though. It's about Captain Marvel, which came out last month. A Wisconsin fan watched Captain Marvel 116 times in the movie theater, which was a world record. So this person who really, really loves Captain Marvel watched it 116 times. So pretty cool in the movie theater. Speaking of sex, sex workers, I guess like prostitutes or, massage people who deal with sex and other stuff as well, they want to unionize because they feel like they're getting an unfair shake from the people whose companies they work for in a sexual way. So good for them. It's kind of interesting. A wearable airbag helmet for bike riders. So, you don't want to wear a helmet or don't think a helmet is good enough protection. Well, now you can have these wearable airbag helmets where you put it on your head, and if you fall off of your bike or you get to an accident or whatever, it will inflate like a car's one and will protect your head, even if you have a helmet on, and then put that over it. So good on them. 3 dead after smoking fake weed that was laced with mouse poison on 420. So 420 is the weed smoking holiday of the year. And it was this past Saturday. And fans of the 420 originally saw that, they wanted to get their quarterback, I guess, to get white teeth. Wait a second, what am I talking about? Hold on. That went off into a tangent. 420 is just basically it's the marijuana holiday. So you can celebrate it by smoking it or celebrate it by talking about it. In this case, 3 dead were 3 people died after smoking this weed laced with mouse poison, which is proof that those types of crimes can occur. So interesting on that. Coffee ice cream bars. I talked about the Nickelodeon ice cream bars. Well, now they're going to be doing coffee ones as well. So if you like your coffee, go ahead and go for it. Only 2 more to go. It's just about time. I'm running on empty here. Man builds a fake indoor tree for his cat. People do anything for their pets. This guy built a huge tree with lots of branches inside his house so his cat can climb up it and feel like that she's sitting on an actual tree while staying inside. A woman wears 9 pounds of extra clothing when she boarded an airplane because she didn't want to pay the extra bag fee that a lot of these airplane companies are starting to drop on to the unsuspecting public. One of the fun things about sports is when fans rush the field after an exciting victory or whatever. That's mostly in college basketball, stuff like that. But one of the I think it's kind of funny and entertaining is when a fan actually gets out on the field during a game and they get chased all over the place by security, and maybe some of the players don't maybe necessarily get totally involved, but they get involved a little bit, particularly if you're running around close to where they are. But this person got tackled by an umpire during this game. He ran out on the field during an Oakland Athletics game and was, I guess, either run around just being goofy or whatever. And this umpire just decked him, took him out. So I think it's kind of funny. I'm going to make sure I got everything done except for one last story. A blackout on a budget bar in a college town, and I think it looked like Tokyo to me, is a restaurant slash bar where you order your beer, and for you and your friends, they bring it out and you have to drink it as fast as you can, and they will bring another one out as fast as they can. There's food, stuff like that. So if you're doing it as a game, you can just keep gloop, gloop, and they'll keep refilling your beer and won't charge you anything extra. And you get food and all that stuff. So they want you to get a little drunk and a little belligerent and possibly have a fight in the restaurant to get money, I suppose. Doesn't make much sense, but the fact is, that is a fun thing you can do if you want to get stinking drunk. Oh, that's it. Just in time. Just so tired. Less than 2 hours. I'm going to go back upstairs now and sleep. Sorry if I was a little out of it for some of it, but it's just been a long week. And we're going to Hershey Park early tomorrow, so I'm going to head upstairs and hit the hay as soon as I can. Hopefully the cat won't keep me up. So, for Peter Dinklage, I am Dylan Lang. Go see Endgame, Avengers Endgame. Everybody else in the world has seen it, so that way you can discuss it with friends, stuff like that, and get your own theories. I got plenty of my own theories, and hopefully maybe by next weekend I'll have figured out what that thing is nagging me about, what is keeping me from really enjoying this movie. And hopefully I'll have MJ Khan to talk to about it. If he cannot make it, I'll probably still do a live version of the show by myself, or I might find another guest. We'll see, and we'll talk full spoilers on Endgame then. So see it between now and next Saturday. And don't forget, next Saturday is Free Comic Book Day, so go out and get your new comics, your free comics, and just check out your new store or your local comic book store. If you like what you see and the people are nice and you get your free comics, do them a favor and buy something. They've probably got sales going on. I think my place has got 50% off the whole store. So you'll get 50% off of trades and back issues and toys and baseball cards and manga and stuff like that. And that's always good because you get 2 trades for the price of 1. So I think that's it. I'm done. I'm toast. Go see Endgame. You'll enjoy it, hopefully. And Jinx just came down just in time for the end of the show, which means that since you're being meowy, it's probably going to be a long night. See you tomorrow. Should be a nice day. I'll be at Hershey Park. Take care. Go see Endgame and make your own decision. Farewell.